Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix torches the Carolina Panthers with a 4-touchdown performance. We'll look at what Bo did well and where the team's focus is at now as they sit at 5-3. A great start for them this season. We'll break it down and much more on today's post-game report. Locked On Broncos.
You are Locked On Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, Broncos Country? Welcome into another episode, Locked On Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, as always, Cody Roark, Broncos reporter for Mile High Sports, joined as always by Sayre Bedinger. Broncos Country, look, it's another victory podcast. Denver gets their 5th win of the season, improving to 5-3 with Sunday's win against the Carolina Panthers, where Bo Nix put together a dominating performance. We'll break all that down much more in today's episode of the show. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. And a special thanks to all the everydayers out there in Broncos Country. Thanks for making us your first listen. We'll wrap up today's show handing out game balls. You get one. And of course, Broncos Country, you're going to get one as well. Denver goes to 5-3. We'll talk about Denver's defensive performance against Bryce Young and the Panthers. We're going to kick things off, though, with the story of the day. Bo Nix putting together his best performance of his rookie career, Sayre. And just, I'd say, a fashion where Broncos fans wanted to see, how does he improve his footwork? Bo was very, very clean all throughout the entire day. This was his most impressive game that we've seen so far in his career, and also comes with some franchise history as well.
Absolutely. I mean, 5 wins for a rookie quarterback, most ever in Denver Broncos history, which is really fun to see. But more so than anything, Cody, I think as far as all the concerns that everybody, or a lot of people in Broncos country have been having over Bo Nix, and, kind of just putting a little bit of an asterisk next to some of these, good performances that we've been seeing from him. There's no asterisk next to this game against the Carolina Panthers, other than the fact that the receivers and skill players in general kind of dropped another handful of passes that would have led to Bo maybe throwing for at least like 350 yards, because he ended up in this game with 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Should have had another touchdown late in the game, a ball that was fumbled by Courtland Sutton. Could have had even another touchdown on a pass that was dropped by Troy Franklin deep down the left sideline once again, which has become far too common, even if it's only happened a couple of times. But Cody, nothing to overshadow the fact that Bo Nix went out there and probably played his best game as a Denver Bronco so far. He was lighting up the Carolina Panthers defense. He was running the offense efficiently and effectively. And the Broncos were throwing, they went out and threw the ball in this game like it was back in Oregon for Bo Nix. They were slinging the rock after rushing for 225 yards last week against the Saints. Man, it was an aerial attack against the Carolina Panthers.
And look, I would say early on, Denver overcame a little bit of a, whoa, what's happening? Did they fall into the trap type of moment? And it had nothing to do with Bo Nix. First drive, his first pass to Lil Jordan Humphrey, complete for 8 yards. Lil Jordan Humphrey then gets it punched out from behind, fumbles, and all of a sudden the defense, they give up a little bit of a play. We'll talk about that later. But I just love the response in the meantime, because then all of a sudden you see Nix fire a shot to Courtland Sutton across the middle. Courtland had a big game on the afternoon as well. Look, getting involved in the passing game, from catching it from Bo Nix, but also throwing a pass himself to Michael Burton for 28 yards. But the thing that stood out to me, Kate, Sayre, I can't remember the last time the Broncos had a situation where they were able to run this many plays. They were on the field longer in this game than they have been throughout most of the games this season. They ran 73 offensive plays in this game, over 400 yards of offense. You mentioned the efficiency from Bo Nix. There was that one drive really after Denver, they were down 7-0. Okay, hey, you're opening up in the second quarter. You got some things going here. Bo was just firing shots left and right, just accurate, feet clean in the pocket, just clean protection, great ball placement. And all of a sudden it's leading to the Broncos putting up points. Denver scored 28 unanswered points from the time that they fell down 7-0 after the first quarter. That, to me, I think was nice. And look, of course, Carolina is not a great football team, man. And you certainly saw it on the film. They're terrible defensively. They're terrible offensively. They really sold out this week to stop Denver's run game. And I think it was like, hey, we're going to challenge Bo Nix to throw. And Bo responded in a big way. This was a great performance there by the Broncos rookie quarterback. best performance so far of his NFL career. And I just think the strides that you're seeing are there. And just once again, his escapability, his ability to get outside the pocket, extend plays with his legs, and also throwing, on the run. I liked what we saw from Nix in this afternoon, and I can't help but even mention it was on a day where it's National Tight End Day. Well, guess what? The Broncos tight ends, they ate for free. I don't know who this Adam Troutman is that we saw on Sunday, but man, Bo found him on a couple of big plays. It was nice to see.
Yeah, he was inspired out there, that's for sure. And Bo Nix finding so many different receivers once again, Cody. I mean, we talk about how all these guys are getting game balls later on in the show. It was kind of like Bo Nix was like, you get a catch, you get a catch, and you get a catch. I mean, the Broncos, like you said, they even got Michael Burton involved there on a trick play late. I think even, I don't know who's the hold. Was it Riley Dixon threw a pass to Lucas Krull on a fake field goal attempt that didn't end up working out? We had everybody's throwing passes. And catching passes for the Broncos in this game. But it was great from Bo Nix. Just specifics of what we saw from him in this game. The touchdown pass to Nate Adkins rolling to his left. You and I were talking about that kind of on the phone as you were coming home from the stadium. Just like, man, what a throw that was. Bo running to his left, putting the ball in a spot where only his receiver could get it on third down, no less. The touchdown pass to Adam Troutman, a great catch by Troutman. But I think even Sean Payton said after the game, Cody, that like Troutman would have been in the middle of the list or far down the list of the guys that he thought would have been catching that touchdown on that particular play. So Bo going through his progressions and seeing the field well, making aggressive throws down the field. Like, I can't wait to see what's the average depth of target. What's the expected completion percentage over the average? Who says what index? I don't know what it's going to be, Cody, for the graphs, the cowboy computer. It's going to be incredible to see this week for Bo Nix. I just think when you look at this performance, the way that he was dotting the ball all over the field, even on his incompletions, he was dialed in for this game. Like you mentioned, the footwork was better. We saw him setting his feet. We saw him making accurate on-time throws, moving the chains, 11 of 17 on third downs offensively in this game. It was the Bo show on Sunday afternoon.
And I think the third down numbers were very impressive. I just think the decision-making, not putting the football into harm's way, like Bo is not making the same mistakes he was making early on in the season. And obviously this was a game where you wanted to do that. And surely it was a little bit of a scare in that first quarter, but Denver, they finally snapped out of it, and they finally looked like the team that should have beat, a team as bad as the Carolina Panthers. Denver improves to 5-3. Broncos country. Denver hasn't had a good start like this since 2016. This is a good step forward here, but now the Broncos have a 2-game road test coming up here against 2 really tough AFC opponents, but games that are winnable for this Broncos football team. The Broncos defense gave the Panthers a little bit of hope early on this game, but then they snatched it away. We'll highlight the Broncos defensive performance and some of the key moments that define the rest of this game here as Denver now sets the table for a Baltimore and Kansas City matchup. We'll break that down and much more here on today's episode, Locked On Broncos. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at LinkedIn Jobs. In Broncos Country, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs, they have the tools that help you find the right professionals for your team faster, and best of all, for free. LinkedIn, they're not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively looking for a new job, but they might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. And on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours of posting a job. So hire professionals like a professional with LinkedIn on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn knows that small businesses, they're wearing so many hats and they might not have the time or the resources to hire. That's why LinkedIn makes it easier for you. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's post-game show is also brought to you by our friends over there at PrizePicks. PrizePicks, as you know it, folks, it's daily fantasy sports done the right way. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So run your game all season long, on Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And Prize Picks, they put their members first. So all withdrawals, they're fast, they're safe, and they're secure. So when my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So check it out today. Go to the app, download the app today, and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
The Carolina Panthers threw the ball right into the teeth of the Denver Broncos defense, even getting a touchdown against Pat Surtain on their first possession of the game. But you know what? The Denver Broncos defense, they bounced back in a big way on Sunday as the Broncos rolled to a 28-14 victory over the Carolina Panthers. We're going to talk about that defensive performance and the bounce back that was after that opening drive touchdown by Carolina. But Broncos Country, got to say thank you to every single one of you that makes Locked On Broncos your first listen of the day every single day. You know that your boys Cody and Sayre got you right here on Locked On Broncos every single day of the week. So hit subscribe anywhere and everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Cody, let's talk about this defensive breakdown a little bit on the first possession the Panthers had after the Broncos turnover. Bryce Young out there getting his first action after getting benched for Andy Dalton. He was looking pretty good out there. I mean, a lot of short passes, but then he threw the touchdown against PS2. It was kind of an ugly start for this Denver defense. What was the key to them bouncing back in this game? I mean, I can't remember how many possessions it was after that, touchdown where they didn't score or barely reach midfield, but the Broncos adjusted in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, Carolina, they had a lot of different plays running this game. I mean, you mentioned, okay, that first touchdown drive there, let me guess, punt, turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs, interception, punt, interception, and touchdown. They scored a touchdown on their first drive. They scored a touchdown on their last drive, but 10 possessions and only 2 touchdowns there for the Carolina Panthers. That's efficiency across the board for Denver. And I would say the thing, too, is that Carolina came out in a lot of run-heavy sets. Obviously, I think some 12 personnel, even some 13 personnel in this game, and they would try to get the run game going with Chuba Hubbard. But Denver did a good job buckling down. There were a couple times where Hubbard or a tailback would get to the outside, but then all of a sudden Denver, they find a way to get a stop. And really, I would say the momentum in this game kind of flipped after Riley Dixon boomed a punt that bounced at the 1-yard line. You had one player go out. I can't remember who it was the first. I don't know if it was Tremont Smith. Dumps the ball back. Lucas Kroll, it's like a double tap. I haven't seen that happen that often in the NFL. Lucas Kroll goes and he catches it, and he double taps it back in, and then it's recovered by J.L. Skinner at the 1-yard line. The Broncos, from that point forward, they made it very hard for Bryce Young and that offense to really do anything. 98 total yards of offense at halftime for Carolina after that first drive. So I would say that they adjusted in a big-time way. But, Sarah, what we're seeing from Denver defensively, it's going to get tougher in these next couple of weeks, like in terms of the opponents, right? The run game, obviously, this week is going to be very crucial, stopping Derrick Henry and the Ravens. And I think that Denver's personnel, I'm excited to see guys get a little bit more run. Like we saw Quan Alexander get some more run here with the linebackers rotating in there with Justin Sternad. Part of me wonders how Denver's game plan is going to change this week with, obviously, the Ravens matchup, Derrick Henry. We could see them maybe deploy a different defensive look, certainly a possibility. But Denver, I would say that this was a game where I felt like they tried certain things, right? They were trying to, maybe see what they can get away with creativity wise, not only just on offense and special teams, but maybe even defense. The biggest story here, though, look, Pat Surtain, welcome back from concussion protocol. First series, give up the touchdown. You know what he's doing this, later on in the game, you go and you get yourself your 3rd interception of the year there. And he told us after the game, he said, I should have opened up my stride a little bit more because he got caught from behind there. Could have been another pick 6, but Denver doing a great job taking the football away, Sarah. 2 takeaways on the day, 2 interceptions. And obviously that's Pat Surtain, Jaquan McMillan getting his first of the season. Denver was getting contributions from everybody.
It was a great interception by Jaquan McMillan as well. Just a ridiculous play to turn around and make a play on the ball the way that he did. Looked like it was going to be another pass interference penalty, to be honest with you. And then he turns around and the ball just, the ball caught him almost in a way. But what a great play by Jaquan. And Pat Surtain had that other play on 4th down where the Panthers were kind of approaching midfield and he just shut down. It was like a little bit of kind of an option play for Bryce Young. It looked like he had a chance to hand it off or maybe throw out a little bit quick screen or something like that. And PS2 just read it perfectly, went out there, made the tackle for loss. I mean, the guy was back in a big way. Let's put it that way. I mean, before he went down with the concussion against the Chargers, the discussion was like, is this guy the defensive player of the year in the NFL? And I don't think he did anything, including the first drive of the game. You know what? Get your feet wet a little bit. The rookie Leggett got a touchdown on him, I think. And, you win some, you lose some. He went out there and had a great game coming back from that concussion. So PS2 picking right up where he left off. The pass rush for the Broncos, Cody, is kind of where I felt like we saw them maybe try a little bit of maybe some different things. It didn't feel, and I'm going to have to watch back the game again. It didn't feel like the most aggressive game plan from Vance Joseph. He blitzed a little bit as the game went along, but we know this Broncos team, they've been blitzing a lot this season. They bring extra defenders more than almost any other team. It felt very much like they were trying to get home with 4 guys for the majority of this game. And they got 2 sacks, got a number of pressures, obviously a bunch of quarterback hits in the mix there, but Bryce Young was kind of able to, take some shots down the field in this game. And that's not what we wanted to see. I mean, Leggett dropped a pass that would have been a big gain at one point. Bryce Young just barely overthrew a receiver at another point that would have been another big gain down the field. The Broncos did get lucky a little bit in this game. No PJ Locke on the back end there at the safety position, but I feel like there were times of this game that Vance could have dialed it up a little bit more. Almost seemed like the Broncos kind of tried to get home with 4 as much as they could in this particular matchup.
Yeah, and obviously PJ Locke, we don't know the timeline for him in terms of when he may or may not return. Did see him at the game, did see him in the locker room afterwards, got a cast on his hand. Obviously, he suffered a thumb injury in Wednesday's practice. So Devin Kia, I thought, did a good job stepping in. Brandon Jones led the team with 12 tackles, Sayre, on the day here. But yeah, you're right. Just on first glance while watching the game up there, it just felt like Denver said, you know what, let's not. I don't know if they wanted to show so much in a sense, right? Because now you got Derrick Henry, you got Lamar Jackson. Obviously, those guys are coming off loss. We'll preview that all throughout the week here, Locked On Broncos. But it felt like this was a game like, hey, let's play our base as much as we can here. And also, I think when you're sending extra guys left and right, like you do increase, I think, the opportunities for guys to get banged up. You don't want to get guys injured against Carolina. I know when Denver was up 28-7, I started thinking to myself, all right, you might want to start getting some guys out here. This game is over. You don't want to risk any guy getting injured. I just felt like the defense did good, the entire game. Okay, yeah, the first drive there was a byproduct, in my opinion, of Denver turning the football over offensively, Carolina starting at midfield, and then they got a little bit of rhythm there. But then you go 8 straight possessions, nothing, and then your last one in kind of closing garbage time, you score another touchdown there. Defenders are saying too in the locker room, they're like, we didn't finish the way that we wanted to, in a sense. Like they felt like they could have shut this one out a little bit more earlier. But it's the NFL. Guys are going to make plays. You play in garbage time, keep everything in front of you, try to get to the next week healthy. Denver coming out of this game, Sayre, I feel like relatively healthy. Obviously, an important week where now you're getting ready to start a 2-game road trip. So Denver's defense, obviously all over the place here in this game. It was funny because Nik Bonitto, obviously now the leading sack artist for Denver here, 6 sacks on the year. It was funny because Jonathan Cooper changed that. Cooper had come in and, he gets a sack and all of a sudden he gets 5.5 sacks at that point. Nik Bonitto comes in and says, sorry, you didn't have it very long. He's got that 6 straight games with a sack for Bonitto. It's incredible to watch. That's in like Von Miller territory in terms of franchise history. That is an exciting thing here for a budding, developing young pass rusher. So definitely a lot to obviously highlight there. And look, Broncos Country, is Nik Bonitto going to get a game ball? Well, Sayre and we're going to hand out our game balls. We want to hand out a game ball as well. We want you to share your thoughts on who you think gets one here on today's post-game report, Locked On Broncos. This post-game show was brought to you by our friends over there at the Game Time app. And look, Game Time, folks, it gives you the opportunity to go see your favorite teams, your favorite concerts, and events that are going on near you. And they make it easier with Game Time Picks. It's a new feature that makes getting tickets to see your favorite events even easier and more accessible, because Game Time Picks, they filter out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. On top of that, the Game Time app, they have a lot of great features. You want to go see your favorite NFL game? Look, if you're a Broncos fan in Baltimore, go to the Game Time app. They're going to give you the best deals on seats for that AFC showdown with some big implications this upcoming week in week number 9. One of my favorite features that they have there, it's the seat views, where you get a panoramic view of what the action is going to be like at the venue or facility in which you're going to see your favorite team play. You get to see exactly what your game point vantage point is going to be inside of the Game Time app. And on top of that, all-in pricing, where if you toggle the feature, it shows you your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. As we jump in the fourth quarter action on today's Locked On Broncos postgame report, the Broncos improving to one of their season best 5-3 starts in the last handful of years. Some excitement here in Broncos country, and obviously the road is going to get a little more difficult as time goes on, but there's excitement for the fan base, and there's also excitement because, you know what, it's a Victory Monday episode of the podcast. Thanks to all the everydayers, first listeners out there in Broncos country. Thanks for joining us and hanging out with us here, celebrating another Broncos win. Haven't had a lot of these over the course of the last 8 years there, so it's nice that we get, some in succession here. But obviously for the Broncos, our game ball portion here, I feel like let's start things off with maybe the unsung hero, right? Because usually this is like, all right, we're going to get to this one at the end here, and then we'll get into ours. I feel like the unsung hero, I was going to say Riley Dixon because of the punt that he had. I'm going to go with Denver special teams unit. Like Denver special teams, they get a game ball. Riley Dixon was consistent on the day punting, and I felt like the coverage overall for Denver was great. It flipped field position in a key moment there, especially when Denver didn't have any momentum in that first quarter as Carolina took that 7-0 lead. Special teams has to get a game ball, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And they definitely did their job in every facet. I mean, it was great to see Will Lutz out there really just kicking extra points. And you tried the fake field goal, right? And you even had the Carolina Panthers try to fake a punt against you. I think that was like a 3rd and 17 as well. Maybe got a little bit lucky on that one, but it was kind of like a meeting of the minds there, right? Because obviously Mike Westhoff and Ben Kotwika, the special teams gurus for the Broncos, they were in their bag a little bit trying stuff. And then Carolina kind of followed suit as well. So definitely a great unsung hero, especially that it was, I mean, you hate to say game-changing punt because that's a bit hyperbolic, but I think there's some merit to that, right? Because you pin the Panthers offense back at the 1-yard line, you flip field position, you give your offense a short field. It was excellent, and Dixon has been excellent all year. Remember when there was a punting competition in Denver? A little bit crazy there, but I'm going to go ahead and start the bidding for the game balls here as well, Cody. You mentioned it, you teased it a little bit earlier. I don't think anybody took National Tight Ends Day as seriously as did Sean Payton in this game. We saw the first touchdown go to Nate Adkins. We saw the second touchdown go to Adam Troutman, who had like 85 or 86 yards on the day on a handful of grabs. We saw Lucas Kroll get targeted on the fake field goal, and then I think he had another catch right after that. So my game ball is going to the tight ends on National Tight End Day. I just think that's kind of a fun way for the Broncos to, we've been talking about it on this show. The tight end production for this team has not been good. And Greg Dulcich has been one of the biggest disappointments on the team. But to see them go out there and perform the way that they did, with Adkins making the tough catch on 3rd down for the touchdown, Troutman with the one-handed snag. I mean, these guys were awesome on National Tight Ends Day. So even if it was just the broken clock being right, twice a day or whatever you want to say, these guys came and showed out for the Broncos on Sunday. So the tight ends get my game ball.
How did it ever come to be that National Tight End Day was like a thing? I saw it on my way to the stadium today. I was like, wait a minute, because you had the other teams, the NFL was posting on their official social media accounts about it, and I was like, okay. I'm like, well, we probably won't be seeing that in the Denver game because the tight end production, if I'm not mistaken, I think Denver had more production from a yardage standpoint from the tight end position today than they've had, and I think in the other weeks combined, which is pretty crazy to say the least. And I would say this about Troutman. I mean, 4 catches, 84 yards, Sayre. If someone would have told us that in the offseason, that, hey, there's going to be a game where Troutman's going to have 4 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown, would have been like, yeah, right. You're kidding me. That was an incredible performance from him. And really, look, I think it was on Denver's second offensive possession where he had like a 32-yard catch and run. It was 32 or 38 yards. And then he had one play against the cover two where I don't know if he was running the sail route there from the tight end position, but Bo Nix threw it perfectly. He gets both feet in bounds. And then Bo's throw to Troutman on that touchdown right over the linebacker, just the ball placement, incredible. And we caught up with Adam Troutman after the game and said, in terms of his NFL career, he said that was the best career of his NFL career, but he said he had a lot of one-handed catches at college. So we might have to pull the archives a little bit, kind of downplayed it, but it was great to see that production from that room. Nate Atkins' first career touchdown. I'm giving my game ball here, cliche enough here, to Bo Nix. Can't rave enough about how he played on this day. I can't wait to go back and do the Mile High Sports film reel. His footwork, just the pocket presence. He did a great job of sensing when pressure was coming. And I just think he continued to extend plays. And the scramble drill is starting to evolve a little bit more here for Denver's offense. But I felt like his overall touch on his passes, the one to Troy Franklin, I mean, that was perfect. Right before halftime, you and I were talking on the phone on my way back from the stadium. Right before halftime, to Marvin Mims, it's like Marvin, I don't think was even looking for the football. That would have been a big play. Like, there was at least maybe 84, 90 yards left on the field from drops or missed opportunities there. I know there was a graph that was going about throughout this week saying that Bo Nix leads the league right now and missed yards due to drops from receivers. That's only going to get even more amplified here. But for Bo, a career day, 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 1 rushing touchdown, just efficiency, 28 of 37. I can't go with anyone besides Bo Nix. And in our YouTube community poll, Broncos Country also voted for Bo Nix as getting the game ball. So just a good win here for Denver. Look, it wasn't pretty to start, and the flow of the game certainly can change. But Denver sitting here at 5-3, Sayre, at this juncture of the season is important. Most of the sports books, FanDuel included, our good friends over there, had Denver at 5.5 wins. Denver's at 5 wins now. Now you got 2 tough road games coming up against Baltimore and Kansas City, teams that are beatable, Sayre. And all of a sudden, things get a little interesting if Denver could come away with a win against one of those 2 teams, and you come back home for the Atlanta Falcons. And then you've got obviously some matchups. You got a road game against the Raiders and then a home game Monday Night Football against the Browns before your bye week. But there's excitement here. Like, for the first time, like, the fan base and the crowd, there just seemed to be a lot of excitement for this team. This win amplifies a little bit. 5 wins right now. It's pretty dang good.
And to tease a little bit of our show tomorrow, I think Sean Payton's comments after the game about, properly supporting Bo Nix at the skill positions and really calling out the wide receivers for those 2 fumbles that we mentioned during the show. The fumble by Cortland Sutton late in the game, which ultimately didn't matter. The fumble by Lil Jordan Humphrey early in the game, which led to 7 points for the Carolina Panthers. That's 14 points that in other games that are tighter against better teams, those are going to be critical plays. And so you just can't have it. And Sean Payton was like, hey, guys, I mean, just saying my bad ain't going to cut it anymore. So that's what we're going to be talking about upcoming this week, as like at 5-3, did the Broncos go out and make a move this week, Cody? Because that is going to be very interesting to see if anybody's even available, what the Broncos would be willing to give up. And if they do kind of take a hard line on what we've seen from the receiver room so far this year.
It's been nice to see Troy Franklin step up. Devon Bailey, certainly so. Cortland Sutton, we'll talk about that. But with the trade deadline just about a week away, could the Broncos be making some moves? We're going to highlight Peyton's comments on the wide receiver room and also touch on wide receivers that have stepped up and made some plays. And could A.T. Perry be on the horizon? We'll break that down much more on tomorrow's brand new episode, Locked On Broncos, Broncos Country. Thanks for making us your first listen. We'll catch you then.